working things over there. A bunch of 1-0s, Engineered Explosives, the Cage, the Lavamancer, Sulfur Elemental, a Grudge, a Flusterstorm, a Grip, 2 Pyroblast, a Spell Pierce, a Submerge, a Surgical Extraction, a Vendilion Click, and 2 copies of Rough Tumble. What do you like over there?
I like the Vendilion Click is just another threat card that can also answer Batter Skull or whatever Tom decides to get with Stoneforge Mystic. I like the Ancient Grudge as a good answer to equipment. Grim Lavamancer is just a powerful card in creature-oriented matchups. The Pyroblast gives them some additional answers to True Name Nemesis as well.
Other side, I guess a more normalized sideboard. Since there's less 1-0s, you got 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Grim Lavamancer, 3 Meddling Mage, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Pyroblast, a Red Elemental Blast, a Spell Pierce, a Swords, to Plowshares, a Wear and Tear, and Umazawa's Jitte. Looks a lot like Turtenwald's sideboard that we've become used to with Blue, White, Red, Delver. What do we like there, my friend?
Additional removal and counter spells. I mean, all these games kind of play out the same way post-board.
Yeah.
You make some concessions game 1 to the combo matchups, but then in the post-board games, even though they seem kind of innocuous, cards like Source of Plowshares, the Red Elemental Blast, even the Grim Lavamancers allow you to have a more creature removal game plan as appropriate. Not that Kyle's deck is particularly susceptible to a card like Grim Lavamancer, for example, but it's better to have these kind of cards as a rule than some of the soft permission. So I'm starting to have this epiphany about Rug Delver, where it seems like a lot of the matchups are bad on paper. These Stoneforge Mystic, True Name Nemesis type of matchups.
Yep.
But anytime your opponent's susceptible to Wasteland and are playing with expensive spells that you can daze, almost feels like that matchup can only be so bad. Because they're just going to get hands that fold to that combination of cards.
It seems like Rick Delver has a draw that beats everybody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what some of the appeal is to it. And then when you're a really, really good Rug Delver player, like take, for example, Jacob Wilson, then your percentages go through the roof.
Yeah, we've even seen it win games against lands because a random Nimble Mongoose went all the way.
That seems to happen so much.
Yeah.
When lands plays against Rug Delver, it's like this matchup is terrible for Rug Delver. And then Rug Delver is just kind of clutching to the 1 Nimble Mongoose. And because of that Shroud, lands can't maze it. They have enough mana to somehow always pay for Tabernacle and get the job done. Seems like that happens a lot from Rug Delver. Hutchins going to mulligan very quickly. Looks like Genzman will as well.
Yeah.
Man, that seems to happen a lot to that deck.
In the interest of full disclosure, I will say the hand that Tom just drew up is a case of the weakness of Gitaxian Probe in certain spots. He drew up an opening hand of Wasteland, no other lands, 2 Gitaxian Probes. Those 2 Gitaxian Probes, those could be lands, and his hand could be awesome. Those could be spells, and he loses the game. If they were instead cards with just a text box instead of a cantrip, he would have more information on his mulligan. But instead, he has to err on the side of caution, even though those Gitaxian Probes could have led to a very powerful hand.
There is not a world that you would mulligan that hand.
I don't know if that's true.
You personally would never mulligan that hand.
Oh, me personally?
Yes.
After Kyle mulligans, I think it's fine to mulligan. Against 7 cards, maybe you have to keep a hand like that, but
You would snap it off.
I don't know.
And you would say, I'll snap it off, and then
Against
cast a probe.
I mean, even paying 4 life against Rug Delver is a significant cost.
That's not good.
It's not good.
But think of what happens if you draw a land off the Gitaxian probe.
That's, I mean,
Oof.
right.
That's a delight.
I often fantasize about what would happen if I drew the best possible card. But that's not really meaningful in terms of informing the conversation about whether or not that hand's a mulligan.
You'd keep.
I'd snap it off.
Yeah. Let's who are we kidding here? You'd keep.
The old Paul Reitzel quote, rather. If I'm going to mulligan hands like this, I might as well not show up.
Yeah, that's right. Send it back and go home. Both players taking a look at 6. See a couple drops over there for Hutchins. I'm not sure if he has a 3rd land or the blue-red land here. What he does have, however, is a Ponder, so he can go finding with that.
Both players with relatively land-heavy hands here.
See a Trop, a Grudge, and a Tarmogoyf. Hutchins going to really have to decide with this Ponder here, because this Ponder is really going to sculpt the rest of the turns for him moving forward. Looks like he's going to keep it. He is happy. Takes a Tarmogoyf, passes the turn back over to Genzman. He'll take a draw. Looks like a Flooded Strand to me. Gonna put that in, but he doesn't seem too thrilled about it. Just pass the turn back. Stifle's over there in Hutchins' list.
4 in the main deck. And you have to imagine they're still in his deck because of, Fetch lands, Wastelands, and Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah. Bold, not sacrificing the Flooded Strand right now. It's you know, if he sacks it down and gets wastelanded, it's bad.
Yes.
Or he can work his way into a stifle. You know, it's bad either way. Got a wasteland of his own in his hand, does Genzman. Genzman maybe considering, do I want to try to get this Stoneforge Mystic in play? The answer looks like it's a resounding no, so Hutchins is going to sacrifice the Wooded Foothills.
Tom is in no rush to do anything. Kyle's not putting any pressure on him, and the longer the game goes on, the more and more that Tom gets to ignore cards like Daze and Spell Pierce, so just make your land drops.
And he does have 2 removal spells in his hand, Swords and a Bolt.
Yeah, he is in no rush to do anything.
Well then, do nothing he will.
And the goose is loose.
Can't Swords or Bolt that. You'd say that's the perfect draw here.
Boom.
Yeah, and so it's just one of the things I love about Legacy. It's just Nimble Mongoose is just kind of this innocuous whatever. 1 mana, 1/1 with Shroud. It can become a 3/3. What's the big deal? It's just, well, I have a Swords and a Bolt and I can't kill it. I just drew another Swords.
Yeah, the format's all about cheap forms of interaction because the games are so fast.
Yeah.
So anything that ignores commonly played points of interaction is pretty good. And Mongoose is pretty reliably a 3/3 because fetch lands are prevalent.
And the fact that it's green makes it dodge cards like Pyroblast too. It's just a really, really good threat for this deck. Has been for some time now. You see Genzman going to sacrifice that Flood Strand very carefully.
Yeah, again, the timing of his fetch line activations has to be very careful because of Stifle potentially.
So we'll see what Genzman wants to do this turn. He does have a copy of Rest in Peace in his hand.
And Rest in Peace is one of the reasons I do like this matchup overall for the blue-white-red Delver player. It's not even something they need necessarily to win the game, but once it's in play, so much power is removed from the Rug Delver deck because Tarmogoyf doesn't do anything and Nimble Mongoose barely does anything.
He's going to go searching here with the Stoneforge Mystic instead of dropping the enchantment. Let's see what he wants to go get. You see him stop towards the Sword of Fire and Ice. Now there's Batterskull.
I think the reason he wants to lead here is because, you know, he sacrificed the fetch land. If Kyle had Stifle, he would use Stifle there. So now you know the coast is clear for Stoneforge Mystic to resolve and for the trigger to resolve.
Gonna go with the Sword. Equipment that is castable. Genzman might be okay with losing this equipment to a card like Ancient Grudge as well.
Okay, castable comes at a premium when there's a good chance that your Stoneforge Mystic is just going to die.
Hutchins will take a draw here. Copy of Spell Pierce. You see the 2 Pyroblasts in the grip. This looks like it might be a Tarmogoyf. Rest in Peace is going to be really good now.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if Genzman can find a 4th land and work it through a Spell Pierce. Tarmogoyf sitting at a 2/3. Just a little guy.
And I believe that Genzman might. He kept a pretty land-heavy hand.
Genzman's going to take a draw here. Picked up a copy of Cataxian Probe. I wonder if that's going to be good. It's okay, Patrick. I know.
I have a feeling this is going to be really powerful for Tom.
I bet Hutchins wants to counter this so bad, and he can't. 2 Pyroblast, a Spell Pierce, and an Ancient Grudge.
The Emperor has no clothes.
Now he knows what he needs to worry about.
The coast is clear for a lot of things right now, including Rest in Peace if he has that 4th land.
All takes the 4th land, though. It's great. He's got plenty of lands.
Yeah, very land-heavy draw.
And Rest in Peace is just completely busted against this deck. Looks like he might fire up a Wasteland, though.
Sure, this is also fun. He can cut off the red source of mana.
And then drop Rest in Peace.
Yeah, this works just as well.
And float some mana here. Go to the attack step. And now he gets to drop the Backbreaker. There's Rest in Peace. Nimble Mongoose and Tarmogoyf. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Stoneforge Mystic is now the biggest kid on the block.
Hutchins going to take a draw here.
I believe that is Crozan Grip. Is there one of his sideboard? There is. I think that's the FNM Crozan Grip.
It's a good way to get yourself out of this situation with the rest in peace. Genzman going to take a draw here.
The question is, can he even get it to resolve?
I promise he can since split second.
Well, he needs a third land.
Well, yes, this is true. If he does find a third land, that thing is resolved, and that rest in peace is getting out of here. Let's see what this is going to be. Okay. Gonna fire a sword to Tarmogoyf, just doesn't want that thing in play at all, even though rest in peace has got it pretty well covered.
I think this is a reasonable hedge. I mean,
think
you
so,
don't know.
too.
Your recipe could get blown up.
I mean, also, both players do have access to deck lists,
Yeah.
so you have to imagine.
He's got a backup plow, and if Kyle starts drawing Delver of Secrets, you are totally fine with that because it just means that your sword is starting to mow things down. So the Spell Pierce does trade. Not a bad spot there for Kyle to Spell Pierce. It is Tom's whole turn.
There's a Flooded Strand, so there's a land for the grip. Interesting game. Things changing quite a bit here.
Yeah, Kyle has lost a lot of forward momentum, unfortunately.
Yeah, but if he can get that rest in peace out of play, the game is just so much different. Now he gets to actually start playing Magic again. The sword's going to fire away here. See Pyroblast brought to the forefront. Obviously not going to take care of that. Those will get removed from the game. Nothing will be gained, of course. No power for the Tarmogoyf, thanks to rest in peace. Genzman will take a draw. It's a copy of Daze. You see Hutchins looks like he's very ready to cast this Corrosion Grip.
I don't blame him. He gets to start doing things again.
Genzman going to play a Tundra. Going to sacrifice Flooded Shrine here. Will Hutchins going to go down a little bit lower, search up a Volcanic Island presumably, and then fire away the Corrosion Grip on this rest in peace.
Make sure grip and rest of these go in the appropriate zones. It doesn't matter. I actually don't know where they go. So I would just ask the judge.
So a little bit curious there that Tom was not willing to pay for the Spell Pierce if he wasn't planning on using the Stoneforge Mystic. Because he ended up just using Source of Plowshares again with 2 mana left over.
It was a little bit strange, yeah.
So that was his plan, then I feel like perhaps he should have just paid 2.
And there's the grip. I forgot about how awesome split second artwork is. That's pretty sweet.
I'm actually not a fan of it.
Yeah, of course you're not. Why would you be? It's not old enough.
No, I don't. I don't like the art style very much.
Is that better?
Of the awkward line just divided down the middle.
I like it. I think it's cool.
It's a little bit of a ham-fisted way to communicate that, oh, this is happening really fast because there's a line in the middle. Not a big fan. Not doing it for me.
You're really tough to please.
This is true, but unrelated.
So rest in peace is gone now. Corrosion Grip in the bin.
How do you know this happens fast? We put a line in the middle.
That's just good design. I like it.
It does communicate clearly, which I guess is
That's
the
the
hope.
goal. We could have more cards like Animate Dead if you'd like.
Well, that's a different issue. That's more of a templating thing.
Here's a Ponder. Probably want to fire off a Pyroblast on that thing. Get that out of here. He doesn't have anything to do with Pyroblast all game.
The problem is if Tom has a land here, then he gets to put the sword and equip and hit once, because Grudge will no longer be available.
That's true.
So it's not quite a freebie.
Also, Kyle probably wants to work his way towards getting some cards in the graveyard. Genzman been trying to pick his spot with the sword. Knows that there's a Grudge over there. Not a ton he can do.
Yeah.
Just has to pass the turn back. Doesn't look thrilled about it either. Wooded Foothills the draw here for Hutchins. That'll give him a second red source. Make things a little bit easier for him. Just pass it back over to Genzman.
Both players in their respective holding patterns.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why the first game took a while. Probably looks something like this. Pyroblast the draw here for Tom. Can't can't really do anything. Neither
Yeah.
can Hutchins. It's strange. Both looking for, brainstorm a ponder type effect, but both have red blasts. So those aren't going to happen. There's a ponder there for Hutchins.
I think Kyle is just looking to get to threshold, and then he can start racing.
I'd be surprised if Genzman doesn't pyroblast this. He saw Hutchins do the same thing.
And again, there aren't really that many pyroblast targets in Kyle's deck.
Genzman draws a card. It's a copy of Brainstorm. I'm countering that too, if I were in Hutchins' seat.
I don't know. It is his last answer to True Name Nemesis.
Whatever. Brainstorm is so good, I would counter it.
With no shuffle effect in play?
You're going to draw a shuffle effect. I told you.
Okay, so he gets to put a land into play, and now he still has a brains. Like, nothing has happened.
So he gets to put, that volcanic island back, and...
A daze, let's say.
Yeah, the daze goes back, gets to shuffle him away, and then cast another Brainstorm.
Okay.
That is awesome. This is exactly how Michael Majors, this is all it took for Majors to win in Charlotte. It was he found a cantrip, into another cantrip, into another cantrip, and then just went crazy for the rest of the game. That's all it takes for these Delver decks to get back in the game. That's why I don't ever want Brainstorm resolved. Your argument is perfectly fine. If he Pyroblasts that, then True Nemesis can come rolling off the top, and that's a problem. But it's Brainstorm. I don't want Brainstorm resolving.
It's not even just about True Name Nemesis. It's how long is the game going to go on for,
Yeah.
You're going to need that pyro. The game is shaping out to take a very long time.
There's Delver Secrets. I'm surprised Genzman did not play didn't play the fetch land. 'Cause he hadn't played a land for that turn. He's gonna put sword in now. Chances are that's gonna get grudged, but it says wait 1 second. Any reason to grudge right now?
Not really.
I would make my opponent actually, pay to equip first. Make him invest in the mana. I mean, Genzman does have a lot of lands, but
There's maybe some risk of him having some weird running draws where your grudge somehow doesn't resolve in all of this.
grudge is gonna resolve.
Let's imagine Tom makes no move to equip. Are you grudging at the end of his turn? If yes, then you should probably just grudge straight away.
Sure. There's the fetch land. This is a lightning bolt targeting the Delver. So there that goes. Genzman gonna try to maybe sacrifice this the Scalding Tarn. Time to go searching. It's gonna be a volcanic.
Is he running out of lands to fetch?
We have 4 Tundras, 4 Volcanics, so yes. But he's got so many. I mean,
Yeah.
6 is so many to operate with in this deck that he's still fine. Here's Brainstorm. And oddly enough, I think Genzman has the. Yeah, I think he has the days in his hand for this blast.
The turn 20 days resolving on a 1-mana spell is pretty insane.
Or this should just not be a thing that happens, but we've worked ourselves into this situation now, which is crazy. Maybe he set him up all along. Hutchins, gonna cast the blast. Yeah, daze it. Oh my.
Boom. I would probably have all costed there just so, you have a land to shuffle away potentially.
All right, not the best Brainstorm there. A Delver, a Wasteland, and a Scalding Tarn. I don't want any of those cards.
I mean, the Delver could be good down the line.
Yeah.
Not right now, of course, but
There it is. Curious how many cards are in Hutchins' graveyard. And actually, Genzman wants to know the exact same thing, I think.
Yeah, it's possible that Tom would want to attack with Stoneforge Mystic this turn if Kyle does not have Threshold right now, but it looks likely that he could have Threshold next turn.
Well, he wouldn't be attacking if it wasn't a 3-3, I'll tell you that much. So in we go. The race is basically on here. What Hutchins doesn't know is that the Delver's not going to flip for 2 turns. So again, Genzman going to draw his card. Going to put the Scalding Tarn right into play. Attack here for 2. Hutchins going to go down to 15. Daze and a Stifle in his hand. No cards in Genzman's hand. Hutchins going to draw a card. It's a copy of Lightning Bolt. That's timely. Attack here for 3. Genzman going to go down to 10. Pass the turn over. Will Hutchins. Genzman going to go down to 9. Increments of 3 are important here.
Yep. Not a place you want to go to against Rogue Delver if you can avoid it, but he knows the top card of his deck is a Wasteland,
Yep.
so that provides him no help.
See what Genzman can find. Checking for Delver. That's a Ponder. He's going to bolt it. The Ponder is mighty scary, though.
Yeah. It's a lot of looks.
So here this is. 1, 2, 3. Ponder, Bolt, Fetch land.
I mean, the Bolt does very little here. I feel like you need to take Ponder again, with the most likely scenario being that you're shuffling unless you find something of significance.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the worst to me. The only card that matters there is the Ponder. The
Yeah.
Fetch land obviously is bad. The Bolt's not going to do anything. Life total's not low enough, and it can't kill the Nimble Mongoose. So Hutchins going to leave those on top. He'll just draw a Ponder. He's going to come attacking here for 1. Down 14. He's going to cast the Ponder now or later? Let's see. He's just going to cast it later. Hutchins going to take a draw. It's a Ponder of his own. He finally gets to do some cantripping here.
Yeah, this is a big draw.
He's going to start by attacking for 3 because he's unsure exactly which land he wants to tap to cast it. If it should be red or if it should be green. We know he's going to cast it, though. And it's going to be the Tropical Island. So a Stifle, a Delver. Huh. He's looking at a Stifle and a Daze.
The issue here is that you get to the guarantee of flip Delver if you keep these, but then you're drawing 2 very low-powered Stifles.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a big issue. I mean,
yeah.
One of the cards, the Stifle that's in Hutchins' hand is actually pretty good just because it can stop like the living weapon trigger on a Batterskull, but that doesn't stop Batterskull on its own.
It's a good insurance policy, and I'm sure he's happy to have the 1 Stifle in his hand, but I don't think he really wants anything beyond that.
I feel the same way as you.
As much as as nice it would be to have an Insectile Apparition on this board, it's just not worth the cost of those 2 close to dead draws.
Can Rug Delver hold it down? Mystery card coming. Passing it back. Picked up another Daze, it looked like. Genzman takes a draw. He knew what that card was going to be. Plays a fetch land. Potentially.
I think you have to open up here with the Ponder.
You know the first card. The next 2 are mystery. He's going to start by playing the fetch land. He's going to sacrifice this. He just wants 3 new cards.
So this is to maximize the number of looks he gets with this Ponder. He gets a shuffle and then potentially another shuffle.
Don't know if he has any lands left. He has 7 in play. Make it 8.
Okay.
Fair enough.
A new record for Blue White Red Delver.
Yeah. New record for any Delver deck. as far as I'm
Congratulations.
concerned. Yeah. Fireball you. Yeah, he's going to cast that with this. So it looks like Hutchins is acting like he has a counter spell or something. In 2 days isn't a Stifle. He says that's fine. A little bit of bluffing, which is probably pretty smart given he has 3 cards in his hand. 1, 2, and 3. Yuck.
Yeah, this has got to be a quick shuffle.
Yeah. You see Wasteland, Spell Pierce, and a Tarn. So pretty fast shuffle here. And oddly enough, the way that this game has progressed, if Genzman can just find a copy of Trinity Nemesis, he's okay.
Well, Stifle throws that for a loop.
Why is that?
It comes into play trigger, correct?
As it comes into play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like Meddling Mage. You can't stifle it.
Okay.
There's a Delver. Hutchins gonna untap. He'll take a draw. Tarmogoyf. That's a biggin. This is an attack for 3. Might be jump blocking time if you're scared of Bolt. Looks like Genzman is.
Yep. And I mean, at this point, he can just cast any piece of equipment he draws. And there's still an Ancient Grudge in the graveyard, too, so Stoneforge not worth a lot.
You see Hutchins actually looks at his graveyard now to check Tarmogoyf. And also probably remind himself that Grudge is down there, in case he'd forgotten. He hadn't looked at the graveyard for some time now. Just pass it back. Big Tarmogoyf, 5/6, lethal. And to check for Delver now. Genzman really, really needs a True Name Nemesis off the top of his deck. Boy, does he ever. He's stifle this.
This is just to prevent him from trading with the Nimble Mongoose, potentially.
There's a Pyroblast.
And Kyle is rewarded.
Yeah. Take a draw. Flooded Strand. Red zone we go. You got to block Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, that play is really nice from Kyle because it's potentially quite bad if Tom reveals Source of Plowshares, because then he can kill the Tarmogoyf and trade.
Yeah. Bye-bye Delver. Go down to 2. I think Gensman's on a no-outer now.
Yeah.
Not even True Name Nemesis can save him. That's what he drew. But that's not going to get it done. He can attack through that. Can Hutchins. And that comes, drops Pyroblast, and extends the hand. Kyle Hutchins going to win this match over Tom Genzman. 2-1. Rug Delvers are moving on here in Cincinnati. Got to be playing against